Hello everyone, I'm Priyanka and welcome back to my channel. As I'm new on YouTube, please support my channel by like, comment, share, and please subscribe my channel. I'm very eager to know, do you like my stories or have my suggestions to improve, and you can suggest me some interesting story to make video. What's your name? Mary was surprised to hear this. A handsome man stood, looking as if he had left in a hurry, forgetting to comb his hair, his thick black hair a mess. What name would you be happy with? Mary laughed. Anne. My name is Anne. The guy likes it. It is a sign of good fortune to meet such a sophisticated clientele in this area late at night. Mary dragged the man to a side street, but even then he did not know that the lamp of his life was about to be extinguished. In the East End of Victorian London on Friday 31st August 1888 at 3:40 p.m., people discovered the girl's body. Name Mary Ann Nichols. His throat was cut by the sharp blow of the knife. He was hit twice there, and perfectly cutting off a large part of his lower abdomen, as if the killer wanted to leave a memory. We may never know exactly how Mary met the killer, but the murder started a series of serial killings that remain unsolved 129 years later. Jack the Ripper is the most notorious serial killer in history, but who was Jack the Ripper? Let's dive into that unsolved mystery. From the middle of the 19th century, large numbers of Irish immigrants began to infiltrate Britain. Even then, with no one like Donald Trump, this immigration influx was unfettered. In 1882, Jews from Eastern Europe also moved to London. As a result, the population of London, especially East London, swelled. And as the number of people in the lower class increases, the amount of crime increases manifold without increasing the number of jobs. Robberies and drunkenness were frequent. Women were even more underemployed. Only in the Whitechapel area of East London there were 62 brothels, and the number of prostitutes was 1,200. Around the same time, in 1888, Mary Ann was murdered in East London. Being killed cannot be said to be a big event as it was then, but to mutilate the body of the deceased in this way, it was certainly new. A fear comes to the public mind, but the thought that it could be a serial killing did not come to mind. A week later, on September 8, 1888, Saturday, Annie Chapman's body was found at about 5:30 a.m. in the same area that day. Like Mary, she was a prostitute by profession. This time, too, he was hit twice and his throat was cut. From the bottom of the lower abdomen, the whole panda, the uterus has been cut from the inside. Witnesses said Usco Cusco saw a dark-haired man walking with Chapman half an hour before he died. After two such murders in a row, fear spread more and more among the residents of East London. The bodies of Elizabeth Stride and Catherine Eddowes were found in the early hours of Sunday, September 30th. Both were found in two places and both were prostitutes. That is, in the same night, Jack the Ripper went to two places and killed. Catherine's throat was cut. Cut from the bottom of the lower abdomen, the left kidney and the majority of the uterus were cut inside. Witnesses said a Usco Cusco man was seen with Catherine. Elizabeth's death is a little different. His main artery was very precisely cut from the left side of the shoulder, but there is no injury below the lower abdomen. Perhaps the murderer ran away in a hurry. The amount of panic that spread after this pair of murders is beyond imagination. Despite many efforts, the police did not find any trace of the murderer. The amount of panic that spread after this pair of murders is beyond imagination. Despite many efforts, the police did not find any trace of the murderer. Mary Kelly's body was found in her room, in her bed, at 11:30 a.m. on Friday, November 9th. After carefully slitting his throat, the spinal cord was cut. The lower abdomen was cut. There was nothing inside. Even his heart was cut out by Jack the Ripper. Rip means to tear away. However, although Emma Smith and Martha Tabram were killed in the same area, their murder style did not match that of Jack the Ripper, so their murders were not considered part of a serial killing. And these two murders happened before the 5 murders mentioned earlier. Supposedly, after this murder of Mary Kelly, Jack the Ripper either left or died, but maybe stopped killing. But it cannot be said for sure, because the murder of Rose Miley on December 20th and Alice Mackenzie on July 17th may also be part of this serial killing. However, none of their organs were stolen, so it may not have been the work of Jack the Ripper, but Alice's left carotid artery was perfectly cut. 2 more murders followed. One could not be identified because the head had been severed from the body. The other was Frances Cole's, a girl whose throat was also cut, but the organs were not stolen. This is a total of 11 murders that are likely Jack the Ripper's achievements, but the first 5 murders are almost certainly attributed to him. These are called the canonical 5. The study of Jack the Ripper is called Ripperology. After that, people assumed that when there was a murder in London, Jack the Ripper struck again. But to tell the truth, experts have not found any other murders of the Ripper. Jack then disappears. 2,000 people were interrogated, 300 people were investigated, 80 people were arrested on suspicion of being a Reaper, but the real Reaper never caught up. This case remains unsolved. Since then, there have been and still are many theories to answer the question, who is Jack the Ripper? And frankly, there were some pretty weird theories too. The strangest suspicion was that Queen Victoria's grandson, Prince Albert, was Jack the Ripper. He contracted syphilis from one of the prostitutes and killed the prostitutes in revenge. But Albert did not have syphilis at all and was elsewhere, not in London, at the time of the murder. So this rumor was just a rumor. Another such rumor, Lewis Carroll, the author of Alice in Wonderland, is the Ripper. Stephen Knight, 1975, gives a conspiracy theory in his book that Prince Albert married a girl of the lower class, and those who knew about the marriage were killed one by the British royal family, so that no one outside knew about this marriage. This ridiculous theory was quickly disproved. However, this theory was made into a movie called From Hell. During that time, the police began receiving hundreds of letters about Jack the Ripper, all expressing their opinions or fears. Some of the early letters found were gruesome, but police dismissed them as fakes. Because, in them, it was written that the letter's sender himself is the murderer. Originally, one such letter was signed by the author as Jack the Ripper. Since then, this name is said to have become popular. But maybe the police's idea is right. These were flying letters. Before Jack the Ripper, he was known as Leather Apron and Whitechapel Murderer. However, experts agree that Jack the Ripper may have been a doctor by profession because the precision with which he carried out the murders or removed the internal organs could only be done by a doctor with a very good knowledge of the human body. Since he could have disappeared immediately after the murder, Jack the Ripper must have been a native of Whitechapel, East London, which is why he could have quickly escaped to the familiar Ollagly. Another thing, he never killed without a weekend. Human fascination with mystery is ancient. Therefore, many movies, series, and games, many books have been written, and many documentaries have been made about the mystery of Jack the Ripper. But the mystery remains a mystery.